I'm Hema Rajesh, tutor for biology. Today I will be covering human reproduction. Briefly, I will run through how to access revision notes and test in clay6.com. Open the clay6.com, click on practice. So you will see a lot of packages. Select a package of your choice. Since we are doing NEET Premium, let me click on that. Here you will find subject-wise tests in physics, chemistry, and biology along with NEET full test. Now, if you look at the bubbles here, you will be finding different colored bubbles. Each bubble indicates a particular parameter. If you look at a green bubble, it shows that, and each bubble is a test. If you click on a green bubble, it means you have already completed the test, but you can always visit the test and do any number of times for the sake of revision or to improve your scores. Blue bubble indicates that in the test you have not taken the test. Now yellow bubble here indicates that the test is incomplete. You might have started the test, but after 3 or 4 questions you would have felt that you are not adequately prepared, and so the test and go. After learning the concepts, you can come and continue with the test. Now if you look at the chapters here, each chapter has got different number of tests depending on complexity of that examination. So once you have completed all the levels of test, if you click on the red bubble, it's going to be a randomized test wherein questions of different difficulty levels will be posed on to you, and the questions will be based on the tests you have already done. So this would help you to analyze and know where you are really in your preparations, whether you have understood the concepts or whether you need practice for application, or so that you can improve before you give your actual NEET examination. Now if you click on this, it will open into revision notes, which is a PDF. Now I hope you have got to know how to navigate to the website. In today's class, I will be revising key concept, do a practice test based on the concepts learned, and last 5 minutes I will answer your queries. Now, as a student who is appearing for NEET exam for the first time, you might be worried thinking what kind of questions would fare in NEET. Relax, it is not a rocket science. After our careful analysis, especially in biology, we have seen that there are three kinds of question. One is totally NCERT based. Around 68 to 70 questions will be based on your NCERT textbook. If you have thoroughly processed your NCERT textbook, then you will be able to get full marks. Then next 8 to 10 questions will be from past papers of NEET. And if you have done all the past papers meticulously, you can back those marks also. And the last type of questions are 8 to 10 questions would be very new. They would be appearing for the first time in the NEET, and these become the game changers because it is not by mere mugging of the concepts you will be able to answer them. You need to really understand the concept and learn how to apply the concept in that particular question. Now, looking into all these things, we at Clay 6 have prepared the test so that all the kinds of questions are given due weightage to help you prepare adequately for the test. And hence, I would definitely suggest that you go in for this test package and also for the revision notes. Now, with this framework, let us begin the lesson. Yeah. So now if you are looking at, today we are looking at reproduction and human reproduction. Now when you are looking at this PDF, it is only of 135 pages. All your 11th and 12th physics, chemistry and biology have been summarized so that it is easier for you to read and revise before the exams, so that what are all the key points you require to know, it is all there as a handy tool for you in this PDF. Now let us begin with human reproduction. You know, sexual reproduction is the reproduction that involves the fusion of male and female gametes or the sexes. The male gametes are called the sperms and female gametes are called ovum. Sperms are produced in the testes and ovum is produced in the ovaries. Now, humans have 46 chromosomes as the diploid number or the 2n number. The end with 33 chromosomes. When the gametes fuse together, they form a zygote, thus restoring the diploid number. Now the zygote will further divide division or mitosis. So let us now first get to human life cycle. Sperm and the egg, when they fuse, they undergo fertilization to form the zygote. Zygote, after implantation in the uterus, will become an embryo. Embryo will develop as a baby, and that will develop into an adult. Adult again will start producing sperms and eggs depending upon whether it is a male. So like this, the human life cycle goes. Now let us look into male reproductive system. The male reproductive system includes a pair of testes along with accessory glands, ducts, and external genitalia. The testes are situated outside the abdominal cavity in a pouch called scrotum, which helps in maintaining the low temperature of the testis necessary for spermatogenesis. There are about 250 testicular lobules in each testis, and each lobule contains highly seminiferous tubules in which sperms are produced. Each seminiferous tubule is lined by spermatogonia and Sertoli cells. Leydig cells present around the seminiferous tubules synthesize and secrete androgen hormone. Ejaculatory duct stores and transport the sperms from the testis to outside through the urethra, which originate from the urinary bladder and extend through the penis to its external opening, urethral meatus. Penis is the male external genitalia. The enlarged end of the penis is called the glans penis, and it is covered by a loose fold of skin called the foreskin. Male accessory glands include paired seminal vesicles, prostate gland, and paired bulbourethral glands. So, prostate gland is single in number, paired, please remember. Secretion of these glands form the seminal plasma, which contains fructose, calcium, and number of enzymes. The secretion of bulbourethral glands also help in lubrication of the penis. Now let us look at the female reproductive system. Female reproductive system consists of a pair of ovaries, a pair of oviduct, uterus, cervix, vagina, and external genitalia located in the pelvic region. A pair of mammary glands are also associated. Now this is the first position. It is of a sectional view showing the reproductive system. Now let us have a straight view so that it is easier for you to understand. Now ovaries are the primary sex organs that produce the female gamete and several steroid hormones. Each ovary is covered by a thin epithelium which encloses the ovarian stroma, which is divided into peripheral cortex and inner medulla. Now, fallopian tube extends from the periphery of the ovary to the uterus. So, this is the fallopian tube which you are seeing here. This is the fallopian tube which you are seeing. Fallopian tubes, the part closer to the ovary is a funnel-shaped structure and it is called as the infundibulum. This is the infundibulum, this is the ampulla, and this is the isthmus part of the fallopian tube. Now, infundibulum uterus is a pear-shaped structure, and this is what we call it as the womb. So, this is where it gets for the after fertilization, the zygote gets implanted. Now, uterus opens into a vagina, and this is through a narrow cervix. The cavity of the cervix along with the vagina, this forms the birth canal. The wall of the uterus has got three layers: perimetrium, which is the external layer; myometrium is the middle thick layer of smooth muscles that will exhibit strong contractions during parturition. Endometrium is the lining of the uterine wall and it undergoes cyclical changes during menstrual cycle. Now, female external genitalia includes mons pubis, cushion of fatty tissue covered by skin and pubic hair. Labia majora is a fleshy fold that surrounds the vaginal opening. Labia minora is a paired fold of tissue under labia majora. The opening of the vagina is often partially covered by a membrane called hymen. The tiny finger-like projection at the upper junction of the two labia minora is called clitoris. Mammary glands are paired structures that contain glandular tissues and variable fat. Each glandular tissue contains alveoli that secrete milk. Mammary glands will join to form the mammary ampulla. Now, with this background of understanding this male reproductive and female reproductive systems, it is very essential that you understand the labeling of the parts also. They will ask you some delicate things. They will not ask you the ovary, but definitely they will ask you to identify endometrium, myometrium, and perimetrium, uterine fundus and uterine cavity, isthmus, ampulla, and infundibulum and fimbriae. So these are the things that you had to take care, not the major ones. Major ones you will be able to do it, but little ones which you tend to miss are these parts. Now let us get into gametogenesis. You know the process of formation of male and female gamete in the testes and the ovaries respectively is called gametogenesis. Now let us look into spermatogenesis, the process wherein immature male germ cells produce sperm in the testis on the outside of puberty in males is called spermatogenesis. Spermatogonia present at the inner side of the seminiferous tubules multiply by mitotic divisions and they increase in number. Each spermatogonium has got 46 chromosomes. Spermatogonia from spermatocyte undergoes meiotic divisions and produce secondary spermatocyte having 23 chromatids. Spermatids are transferred into spermatozoa by a process called spermiogenesis. The sperm heads remain embedded in the Sertoli cells and are released from the seminiferous tubules by the process of spermiation. Now let us look into the structure of a fully developed sperm. This is very important. Sperm is a microscopic structure composed of head, neck, and tail. The sperm head contains elongated haploid nucleus, anterior portion of which is covered by a cap-like structure, and it is called as the acrosome. This is the acrosome. Acrosome contains the enzymes for breaking down of cell membrane of the ovum. It contains haploid set of chromosomes. The middle piece has got mitochondria, which produces energy required for the movement of the sperm. Tail helps in the propulsion by beating of flagellum. Sperm has a streamlined shape that enables it to swim efficiently. Being light and small, it is able to move faster. Human male ejaculates about 200 to 300 million sperms during the coitus. The seminal plasma along with the sperms constitute the semen. The function of the male secondary ducts and glands are maintained by the androgen hormones. Now, spermatogenesis is also under hormonal control, and this you have to understand which hormone does what. Spermatogenesis is initiated due to secretion of gonadotropin releasing hormone by the hypothalamus. So, hypothalamus will secrete gonadotropin. Increase in GnRH acts on the anterior pituitary and stimulates the secretion of two gonadotropins, LH and FSH. Now, LH will start acting on the Leydig cells and FSH will act on the Sertoli cells and stimulates the secretion of some factors that helps in spermiogenesis. Now, let us look into oogenesis. So the process of formation of mature female gamete is called oogenesis. It starts during the embryonic stage. It is not that it starts late just like in males, but it would have been the oogenesis would have started right from the embryonic stage when millions of oogonia are formed in each fetal ovary. The gamete mother cell will start division and enter the prophase 1 of meiotic division and gets temporarily arrested at that site, and then it is called as primary oocytes. Each primary oocytes gets surrounded by a layer of granulose cells forming primary follicle. At puberty, about 60,000 to 80,000 primary follicles are left in each ovary. Primary follicles get surrounded by more layers of granulose cells called secondary follicles that transform into tertiary follicle containing a fluid-filled cavity called antrum. The tertiary follicles will further change into mature Graafian follicle, which will rupture to release the secondary oocytes by the process of ovulation. Now let us look into, so if you look at gametogenesis, this is the number. This is very important, children, for you to understand what is happening. So you have to know the number. Here, this they can ask you this diagram, either this or this, and ask you to identify the number of chromosomes at each level. So from the diploid, you are going to see how haploid is divided. haploid gametes are formed. Now let us look into the menstrual cycle. The cyclical changes that occurs in the reproductive organs of primate females is called menstrual cycle. So in non-primate, it is called as estrous cycle, which I explained yesterday. The onset of puberty is called menarche. The events in a menstrual cycle can be studied under four phases: menstrual phase, follicular phase, ovulatory phase, and luteal phase. Now let us look at menstrual phase. It lasts for 3 to 5 days. It results due to the breakdown of endometrial lining of the uterus and its blood vessels. In the follicular phase, endometrium is regenerated by proliferation of its cells. These changes are due to increased level of FSH, LH, and estrogen. So FSH, LH, and estrogen will reach at greater levels. Therefore, they initiate the follicular phase. FSH controls follicular phase, stimulates the growth of the follicles and secretion of estrogen. FSH and LH reach the peak levels in the middle of the cycle. Ovulatory phase is the peak level of LH, induces rupture of the Graafian follicle, which releases the ovum, and this is known as the ovulation. Release of ovum is called ovulation, and the phase where the ovum is released is called ovulatory phase. Luteal phase, ruptured follicle will now transform into corpus luteum. It secretes large quantities of progesterone. So in the absence of fertilization, corpus luteum degenerates, and this causes disintegration of endometrium, which will result again in the menstrual cycle. Now, menstrual cycle in women mostly will cease between the ages of 45 to 50, and it is called menopause. See, there is no hard and fast rule that this is the age. Generally, between after 10. Generally, now because of the changes in the life cycle and our food habits, the menarche, that is the initiation of the menstrual cycle, has started earlier in young girls, and we see girls as early at the age of 9 or 10 attain puberty. Ideally speaking, between 11 to 15, anytime you will be able to get your menarche or the first onset of menstrual cycle, and similarly, menopause will be between 45 to 50. But there is no hard and fast rule that this is the age and that is the age. Generally, we say in a healthy individual, if we look at what happens and what is the time, it should be between 12 years. 12 plus 25 years, if the menstrual cycle goes on, that will be the normal period, 25 to 30 years after that. Now let us look with ovum with sperms. Now let us look at fertilization. The process of fusion of sperm with ovum is called fertilization. Fertilization can occur if ovum and sperms are transported simultaneously to the ampullary isthmic junction. Now after this, there is another phase called implantation. Zygote moves towards the uterus. As the zygote moves towards the uterus, meiotic division starts and forms a cleavage to change into, from 2 cell, it becomes 16 cell. That is 2, 4, 8, 16 cell blastomeres. The blastomeres with 8 to 16 cells are called morula. Morula will divide to change into blastocyst. The outer layer of the blastocyst is called the trophoblast. So this is what you're seeing in this diagram. That will attach with the endometrium of the uterus, and this is called implantation, and after implantation results in pregnancy. Now pregnancy and embryonic development. So this is the human fetus within the uterus. This is how the fetus will start developing, and these are the umbilical cord with its vessel, placental villi, cavity of the uterus, yolk sac. This is the embryo, plug of the mucus in the cervix. So this is all, these parts are very, very important. This diagram is very important. So note down the parts that are very important, because they will ask you to identify. The finger-like projections on trophoblast after implantation is called chorionic villi. That, along with uterine wall, forms a functional unit in between developing embryo and the maternal body called the placenta. Placenta is attached with the fetus with an umbilical cord that transports food and oxygen to the embryo. Hormones like HCG, that is human chorionic gonadotropin, HPL, that is human placental lactogen, and relaxin are produced by women only during pregnancy by the placenta. The inner cell mass contains certain cells called stem cells that have the potency to give rise to all tissues and organs. So this is about how the growth takes place. Now, if you look at the development, how it is getting developed, the inner mast cell contains certain cells of the embryo called stem cells, which have all tissues and organs. Now, if you remember, the stem cell banks have come up now. That is recently in a decade or so, the stem cell banks have come up. Now, they will be able to collect the stem cells and preserve it so that in case in future, if you have any issues, they can use your own stem cells because your body will not be able to reject it. They can always enable the stem cell to regenerate into the tissue of the necessity organ. Suppose you have got a liver infection, your liver has to be replaced. Now, the liver transplantation might be possible. It is not saying that it is not possible, but it might result in graft rejection at times too, and you may not get a suitable donor. With all these possibilities, if you have your own stem cells, they can always collect the stem cells and make it to develop into your liver cells, and in that way your body will not be able to reject it because genetically it is the same and the antibodies will not be formed thinking that it is an antigen by your body. So this is what the stem cells are of great importance now. And suppose if you are suffering from leukemia or something, this bone marrow, it can be initiated to form the bone marrow cells, and those bone marrow cells can be of great help for you to cure your disease. So in this way, stem cells have proved to be a great boon nowadays. In human beings, if you look, what is the embryonic development at various stages of pregnancy? So after 1 month, if you see, heart will start beating. After 2 months, limbs and digits will be seen. That is, your toes and fingers will be seen. After 3 months, external genital organ will be formed. After 5 months, a lady will be able to, with what do you say, will be able to feel the first movement of the fetus. After 6 months, body is covered with fine hairs, eyelids, and eyelashes. After 9 months, it is fully ready and it is ready for the delivery. So this is what we call the gestation period in human beings is 9 months or 36 weeks. Parturition is the process of delivery of the fetus. Signals of parturition will originate from the fully developed fetus and placenta, inducing mild uterine contractions called fetal ejection reflex. It triggers the release of oxytocin from the pituitary of the mother. Oxytocin acts on the uterine muscles, causing strong uterine contractions, which in turn will stimulate further secretion of oxytocin. Sometimes the stimulation will be less in some women. What happens? The oxytocin release will not be sufficient at that point of time when the fetal ejection reflex has started, but there is no enough oxytocin being produced by the pituitary. Then the doctors, then they will start injecting it through your IV fluids, oxytocin, so that it will give more and more contractions to facilitate easy childbirth. Now, lactation, the mammary glands undergo differentiation during pregnancy and start secreting milk towards the end of the pregnancy by a process called lactation. The milk produced during the initial stages of lactation is called colostrum. And this contains several bodies essential to develop resistance for the newborn. And because there are already preformed antibodies in the colostrum, it is very, very essential. And so nowadays, WHO and most of the doctors, they say that breastfeeding is very, very important for the newborn. And generally, if you see, even cows, after they give birth to a calf, they give the first milk that is supposed to be given for the calf. But what we do is, we humans are so greedy, we take that and we prepare dish out of it and eat, which is very, very bad. Actually, it should allow the calf to suckle the milk so that the calf develops enough resistance. So with this, we complete the important concepts of this lesson. Now let us go to tests. So, okay. Now choose the correct order regarding the human reproductive events in the reproductive events in humans. First, it has to be gametogenesis, then insemination. After insemination, it has to be fertilization. After fertilization, there is implantation. Implantation results in pregnancy. It has to undergo a period of gestation and then parturition or the childbirth. So this is the first. The male reproductive system is in the abdomen, in the pelvis region. The male reproductive system includes all except accessory glands, ducts, none of the above, because all are the part of human reproductive system. Incorrect statement regarding adult testes is covered by a thin covering, because it is covered by a dense covering. The male sex, okay, the male, I think fifth one we have not done. Leydig cells secrete, synthesize and secrete testicular hormones. Yeah, secrete testicular hormones called androgens. The male sex accessory ducts store and transport the sperms from the testes to the outside through the urethra. Secretions of male accessory glands is rich in certain enzymes called seminal plasma. Regarding ovaries, choose the correct answer. So it is all of the above, because ovaries produce several steroid hormones. Primary female sex organ produces the female gamete. All it is all of the above. The female accessory ducts is or are constituted by oviducts, that is fallopian tubes, uterus and vagina. Regarding fallopian, correct. Shaped infundibulum. In the endometrium, cyclical changes occur during menstrual cycle. Yes. The myometrium exhibits strong contraction during the delivery of the baby. Both are correct. The opening of the vagina is covered partially by a membrane called hymen. That is correct. The clitoris is a tiny finger-like structure which lies at the upper junction of two labia minora below the urethral opening. So this is one is correct, but two is incorrect. The hymen is often torn during the first coitus, yes. However, the presence or absence of hymen is not a reliable indicator of virginity or sexual experience. Both are correct. So I'm going to end the test here. Oh, I think two of them never got selected there. So let us look in. So Leydig cells synthesize and secrete testicular hormones. So I forgot, I have overlooked the word synthesize, so it has become wrong. So we need to be careful. The male accessory gland includes, okay, see, the correct answer is paired seminal vesicles. I overlooked it. I just saw seminal vesicle, prostate and bulbourethral, but I did not, oh, I overlooked this. So that is why it is wrong there. You regarding uterus, choose the incorrect one. Oh, I think I have skipped this question. That is the reason why it has given wrong, but it was selected there. Okay. So now you understand that in a hurry or when we are doing it, sometimes we yes, that is how it is wrong. Now, when you have wrong questions, if I'm not sure, now I should when you click, you will also see the explanation. But one thing, when you're giving your NEET entrance exams, you have to be cock sure of the answer. See, now I have done mistakes. I wanted to show you the how mistakes can happen in our hurry. Purposely, I did mistakes here. Whether question looked it by clicking it, just skipped off. So it is better if you are not sure of the answer, don't do it, because it's going to cost you from your total minus 1 mark. So it is better only if you know the correct choice, you take it. Otherwise, just leave it blank. That will save you from losing the marks. And even when you are looking at it, today I showed you how a paired, the word paired, if you miss, the choice goes wrong. So you need to relook and look at the choices very, very carefully. So with this, we complete today's class. And now if you look at our NEET packages here, we have got 38 full tests. In this, 15 are teacher created tests. Keeping in mind the 3 kinds of questions that can come for your NEET, these tests have been prepared by the tutors. And NEET, more than 20 papers of past NEET papers have been solved, and all the 38 tests have got their solutions with explanations, so that you are left with no doubt. When you complete the test, you get the answer for your wrong ones, and it is better to try to have this package and go on, keep on practicing. When you do for 38 tests, the time management will also improve. You will also improve how to look at the questions and how to quickly eliminate the choices. And as I said, practice makes one perfect. So this would be an ideal package for your study material. So we get back. If you for any for have any additional help, you can click on our ask feature, and we support chat groups using Telegram. If you want one-to-one tutoring with any of the tutors for any subject or for any particular lesson in the subject also, you can do it. For any other queries you have, you can mail your query to info@places.com. So meet you all tomorrow. Thank you.